The Sustainable Voice, bringing you big successes from small places worldwide.
Welcome back to Sustainable Voice. You guys are in for a treat. I'm your host, Ashish, and I got with me one of the coolest people. Is not because she's my sister-in-law, because she's a baller. She's gorgeous, as you can see as well, and she's absolutely just amazing. Sheena Patel. Sheena, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going. So this is her first time on this podcast, and I was talking about how the listeners here are amazing and how you guys have some of the best comments, even if you are smartasses, but you have the best comments that come out here as well. It's really funny. It's great. So we're going to be talking about something really cool today. We're going to be talking about just storytelling. It's going to be your eyes, my story. So Sheena is one of the best artists I know, as you can see behind her, graphic designer, just really, really, the expression, everything else is there. And we're going to talk about this as well. But before we get started, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that bell notification. Make sure you're with us as well. Make sure you're joining. We've been adding record numbers of listeners every month. And as you can tell, I am not in our studio. I'm in Egypt right now. I'm in Luxor. I just got done. I'm actually here touring around. We got done with, I got to see a mummy. It was freaky.
That's amazing.
Got to see a
I'm
mummy.
so jealous.
It was,
What am I doing here in the cold?
dude, she was on the table, mummified, and she was like this, screaming. I was like, good God, what happened to her? But it was actually, we got
Oh my
special
gosh.
access into a room. I can't take photos of it. I can't load them up on you. I can't show you. But it's the story. And you know what? You're the right person to talk about this because you're one of the best storytellers I know. And you do it without saying a
Oh,
word.
thank you.
I know. He's so
Thank
modest too,
you.
guys. You see that? She's so modest.
You're making me blush.
Good thing she's got a tan. So let's
Working on it.
so as you can tell, yeah, she and I, we've known each other for over 20 years now. She is, again, one of the strongest people I know. Just absolutely amazing, and she's a really amazing artist. So we're going to be talking about translating emotion into human experiences and how you translate that into art. So Sheena, let's start off with that. Let's talk about how you translate human emotion and how you translate experiences into art. How do you get started? Like that piece behind you is both of them. They're stunning. And one of them I know is unfinished, but how do you get started?
There's no there's no real process. It's I'll take it back a second. So, like, I've always processed life through feeling first, okay, long before words. And art became my language for what I couldn't articulate verbally. From like as long as I could remember, I've been creating, I've been painting. It was my go-to to explore my emotions or um to kind of communicate was what I wasn't able to communicate verbally. So, I guess I naturally translated my inner experience into like colors and textures and movement, and painting became a way for me to release my emotions and understand myself better. So then now it's been more of a conscious process, if you will, where I'm able to, take these, whether it's visions or dreams or um, emotions that I want to explore, whatever's going on within, and putting them on a canvas for other people to then experience.
And you and I have talked about this. You've talked about this because you've been to different studios where you've given talks and you've had your art commissioned on display. People have had visceral reactions to your art. Some of them just broke down in tears staring at your art. It was like spontaneous combustion. Feel like?
Yeah. What does that feel like?
Are you like, I have the power? Do you feel like, oh, I, or do you just walk up and go, come on, what do you do?
No, it was kind of shocking when I first saw that happening. It was like, I know what I felt when creating, right? Because I'm pouring everything I have into a piece, and especially this one, Gali, right? She's my everything piece. Um, I was going through. a pretty dark time in my life, and experiencing some very deep emotions. And um, so I just painted, right? Like I just poured myself into this piece. And and then for other people to kind of feel that, it was amazing. It was shocking what it could do, because I felt like it was on a subtle level, like connecting us in a way,
Mhm.
and connecting people with themselves.
Okay.
It's I don't take credit for it. It's more like a bridge between them and themselves, their deeper selves, their whether it's divinity, whether,
So it's whatever they think.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I think so. In a way, like I love to hear about it. Like what is it that you're feeling? And it's like multiple people again, especially with this piece. And I think it's the eyes. There's so much emotion that she holds, and it just within the whole piece. Um, yeah, it's connecting them with something that maybe they have buried deep within
well,
themselves.
that's really good.
So that's really
That's
cool.
really good. And you know what? And this is actually, this leads me to, or something that I wanted to ask you, right? So I
Hmm.
remember when you made that piece, because I remember you were in a pretty dark place. And hey, dude,
Yeah, we spoke
hey,
about it.
hey, dude, who's responsible for dark place? I just want to say thank you. Thanks a lot, because actually you helped create this, and go F yourself. Okay. So yeah.
Oh no.
So this was actually really good, because that piece you did back there, you used a method you've never done before. So it's not even about the piece. It's the
Yeah.
fact that you pretty much just started painting and you were like, oh my God, I've never done it like this before. And I remember you were freaked out, because you take your art seriously. As you said, and guys, I've watched her pour her heart into this. I've watched her pour everything. Like, she goes somewhere. I've seen it. I've watched her paint. I don't even know, but she goes somewhere. So here's my question to you. As you're doing this, is this when you realize that your art isn't just visual? Was that the piece that got you to realize that? Or did it happen
I
before?
think so.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, I think so. I think it was this one specifically that made me really see that when I was seeing other people's reactions. Like there's been some commission pieces, some abstract pieces that evoked emotion as well. But I think it was such a on such a deep level that people were reacting, or having such a response to it, that it was like a aha moment, like,
Yeah.
"Oh." So it's like my paintbrush has become my wand.
Oh
The whole
man. Oh, mic
Yeah.
drop. Holy cow. Right on. Right on. Well, and this is important, because you said something when we were doing our prep meeting. You said something about this. You're like, I don't want to come across like I'm an Indian and just painting this. This isn't about religion. And you've said this before.
No.
Because the people who've had reactions to this painting, they're not all people of the same faith. They're people of different race, different
No.
creed, different color. You see it. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, yeah, so, like, on a few exhibitions I had, or wherever I've displayed her, it hasn't just been people of this faith, right? Like Hindu people, or whatnot. Like I paint I painted her because she's someone that I am learning to connect with and build a relationship, and she has a lot of the qualities that I'm building in myself.
Mhm.
That dark feminine energy, that like restraint, that
Wait,
um
wait, wait, wait. Back up. Dark feminine energy. Damn, that's good. Okay.
yeah,
What does that
yeah.
mean?
Dark feminine energy is like, it's like part of our shadow self that we hide from the world because we're taught to be a certain way. We have to have like these certain manners, or if we want people to like us or be accepted, we act a certain way. But when you're accepting the whole part of yourself, which
Yeah.
is like your dark parts too, and integrating that within your being, within yourself. So, speaking your truth even when it's uncomfortable, for
Yeah, that's right.
instance,
That's
or
right.
right? We hide these things, because, like, in fear of not being accepted or being rejected. So when you can fully accept all the parts of yourself. And that's what this piece represented for me,
Well,
right? It's not about Hinduism or
no, no, it's
religion
not.
or anything. It's so
Well,
much deeper.
well, and guys, for all of you who's listening, she really means this because I mean, man, she's taken me to task whenever it comes to accepting the whole self. I've gone to her like, no, it's this, and she's like, nope, 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 you're not accepting that. She's not accepting. She doesn't. She actually can pretty much cut through you like butter because she's like, no, nope. So she really means it. I've seen that. And what's really cool about this piece is that I watched you again. You went somewhere because I remember I was traveling in
Hmm.
Peru when you were talking about this piece, and then all of a sudden I see this piece, and
Yeah,
I got gravitated to those eyes, and I showed it to a bunch of my colleagues. And as you said, they're a different faith, and the first thing they said is those eyes. Like it
yeah,
was like there was something in those eyes. So it's not about the faith. It's not about whether you're Hindu, not Hindu, whether you're Christian, Catholic. It's not that. You said it best. Like this piece is like a piece of reckoning, would you say? Like it's basically a piece that forces you to reckon with every part of yourself, the light, the darkness, everything,
yeah.
and come to grips with who you are and accept like this is who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. It's reminding you, right, who we are. It's reminding me who I am, and I think it's having the same kind of effect on other people, and
Yeah.
that's what is bringing that deep emotional response to it.
Yeah.
Which is really cool to see, right? And again, like it's not just this one. I've painted the more abstract pieces. There's a lot of focus on water and portals and taking you to a place. It's just taking you deeper into yourself, and that's
Mhm.
the beauty of art,
Yeah.
right? How how I perceive something might be very different than how you perceive it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
Hmm.
And so you talked about this. So there's a phrase you use that, and I know she used it, guys. I grew up. I've known her for over 20 years. I mean, she's my wife's younger sister, and we've talked about this. You've said emotional truth through abstract realism and symbolism. What the hell does that even mean?
It's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're smarter than I am. You tell me what that means because that's above my pay grade. What does that mean? You lost me at abstract, by the way. Too many syllables. So what does that actually say?
um Okay, so let's go into that. So we have abstract, which which I love because you can speak, you can send a message or say a certain thing through colors, through textures, through forms. Um and then that's beautiful in itself. But then when you layer on more realistic um, bits, or whether it's a portrait, whether it's a car, whether it's, um, something real, and then merging the two together, there's some kind of like magic that happens
Mhm.
because now you're really telling a story so deeply, and it grabs the viewer in, and it's making them sit with it, reflect,
Mhm.
pause, think, you know, there's some magic that is happening. I'm not noticing like with my artwork anyways, when I'm blending the two together.
Mhm.
So I'm really exploring that a little bit more.
So, well, it's really cool, and
Does that make sense?
100%. Well, 100% and no. And yes. Like I've seen people come up to that piece and just sit there and stare. And you're too
Yeah.
young to remember this, but maybe you're not. But you guys remember Ghostbusters, the original movie, and Ghostbusters 2. So Ghostbusters 2, there's a scene
Yeah.
where I think it's not Venkman, it's the other guy, not Spengler. It's Dan Aykroyd's character, and he's just staring into Vigo's piece with his jaw hanging out, drooling or something. I've actually seen people stare at that piece, mesmerized, and the only thing missing was the drool coming out of the side of the mouth because, like, their eyes are
Hmm.
fixated. And the way I took it, and I talked to somebody who actually looked at that piece, random person, said, "What did you think?" And they said the word reckoning. It's forcing me to reckon with who I am. Now,
Mm.
my first
Hmm.
thought is if you're an axe murderer, well, don't come to my sister-in-law's house, but maybe. Go somewhere
What?
else. Maybe
Well,
go.
I hope not.
Yeah, but maybe go somewhere else, and we'll send a copy of this art piece and sit for. Maybe this will make you reckon. But I think in general, like if you are at odds, if you're you know, we always talk about, and this is where I got from that. This person said this to me. They said, this, that those cartoons with like the angel and the devil on your shoulders talking about, the good and the bad, and it's the self-conscious, and oh, don't do this, but do this. No, be bad, don't be good. You're forced to reckon and reconcile with both sides of you. Every one of us has a good and bad
Hmm.
side, but you're forced to reconcile both sides. You can't have one without the other. You can't have light without darkness. You can't have
Of
darkness without
course.
light, yin yang, whatever you want to call it. Uh, but that part
Yeah.
was there, and it's cool because on this podcast we talk so much about what happens in third world countries, and the premise of this podcast from the beginning has been about big successes in small places, right? People who are doing things that make a difference. That doesn't always mean developing nations and third world countries and everything else. It could mean in Toronto, Canada. It could mean in, Podunk. It could mean in Timbuktu, whatever the case, right? But it's wherever you are. It's the fact that you're designing these pieces that whether you intend them to or not, when people see them, they stop and it pauses for thought. And I think we as a society have forgotten how to think. We seem to just grab onto the next headline or grab onto whatever's on TikTok or whatever's here, whatever the case may be. And if you are, by the way, on TikTok, subscribe. Just hit hit that subscribe button, okay? Like, come on, come on. I'm not too shameful to call for it. Come on. But seriously,
Just do it
just do it. Hit the bell notification. You know you want to. Um,
right here.
but I think
I
it's
always wanted to do that.
there you go, right here. But it leads me to what you were saying. You've talked about art as a portal to human experience. Yes, a
Hmm.
series. That's a lot to take in as well. But I think I know what that means. What you just said, it's a reckoning. And I shift over to that other piece behind you with that gold line, because you call that piece unfinished. Um,
It is unfinished. Yeah, I'm still working on it, and the perfectionist in me won't. That's hard to sometimes put down the brush and walk away.
I mean,
That
it's
that is more of an abstract piece.
all right. What do you see when you
It's
look at that? What do you see when you look at that?
I'll tell you what it is. I'll ask you that first. What do
Come
you
on, you
see?
can't do that. No,
Yeah,
no,
no, I'm gonna put
no.
the
This is
the
my
ball
show.
in
You
your
can't
court.
do that. This is my show. No, no, no.
Listen, I'm taking over.
Fine.
I'm taking
Okay.
over.
Fine.
Okay?
Fine. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. As you wish.
Smart man.
Well, your sister trained me well. So
Yes.
okay. I tell you what I see. I see a couple of things. I see
Mhm.
the dark side of the moon. I actually see a planet that is starting to reflect towards the sun. Since I was a kid, I have always been infatuated with space. And no, I'm not a Trekkie. Before you guys asked, and no, you didn't see me at the last convention. I'm not a Trekkie. And if I was, I'd be a Klingon, okay? Just so you understand. And yes, I know the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars, just saying. Okay. But anyway, yes, it's a planet coming onto the dark side. That's what I see. The other thing that I see is, and because I am a Star Wars junkie, that's C3PO looking off into the distance is what I see. And if any of you listeners are therapists, you're probably going, "Oh man, this guy needs help." Uh, so, so okay, that's what I see. Like I know you've talked about a couple of different things, but you've never actually told me what you see. What do you see,
Mhm.
or what did you see when you were
Well,
painting this, and what do you see now? Has it changed?
yeah. Well, what it is it's an abstract version um of my heart. That was kind of I know. That is what the
If
idea
that's your
that
heart,
I
I
went.
know a good cardiologist I can take you to.
Please, please. I need all the help I can get. No, I'm
Okay.
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
The heart is healthy, but yeah, it was a way to give form to the formless. Again, like going deep within myself and painting something that is a little, it's fragile, yet it has become so strong over the duration of my life, over situations and hardships and whatever I've gone through. So it's a depiction of, opening of the heart and that light coming out. So even though there's darkness, that cut is kind of like light coming through the darkness.
Hmm.
And I feel like that is a theme throughout many of my pieces. I focus on light, I focus on hope, resilience, and just something higher, divinity in whatever form that it may show up in.
All things that we
So,
need.
planet, heart. Yeah, well,
C3PO.
yeah. Sure, we need him too, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's pretty annoying though, but yes, we do. I don't know if he's being looked out in space because the Millennium Falcon left him behind. I'm not sure what that is, but yeah. But it is even if it's like the dark side of the moon, right? Or the dark side of a planet just coming, it's a new birth, a rebirth, a new day. It's optimism. That painting is
Mhm,
optimism. It looks like that. And you've talked about the fact that your art, it feels like a doorway or a mirror. How do you
mhm,
how do you create this kind of work that where people come to look, and I've seen this, people come to look at your art and they don't just look, like they feel, they gaze, and then they're they're sucked into the piece, they're drawn into it. First of all, how does that make you feel? Because I know you see it too. I've watched you see it. And even though you don't do this, I've watched you see it. And it's a pretty cool feeling because I've watched people. I told you, I've seen people who sit in front of your art and just break down in tears looking at your art because they see something. And it's
mhm,
it's it's really cool. And we could talk about all the ways that this world is all effed up and everything else and whatnot. But this art brings something really cool. And if people talk about optimism and those, I've heard these artists, oh, my art represents optimism. I look at it, I'm like, it looks like a bunch of splatter on a canvas. What does it mean? But yours actually, and I'm not saying it because we're related. I'm saying it because I've seen other
mhm.
people's strangers have that same feeling. So what does that feel like when the art is, it's not just a look. It's a feel. It's a doorway. What does that feel like to you as a creator? Oh, I got her. You see that? You see that,
Good
guys? You see that? Yeah,
question.
you guys see that, by the
No, no,
way?
no, I'm
Yeah, 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 yeah.
thinking.
I'm taking control back now. It's my show again. I'm taking control now. How you like that?
That's fine, that's fine. How does it feel? Well, I think there's something you said which really stood out to me. It's about feeling, right? And that's what art is. And you said earlier, people don't think anymore, but more importantly, people don't feel anymore. We're so connected to our gadgets and our phones, and we're plugged into something all the time. People can't sit with themselves. They
Hmm.
don't stop and just, you know, feel what is happening within me.
Hmm.
And I do that a lot. Maybe I have too much time on my hands, I don't
No, I
know,
know
but
you. I know
the
you
deep
don't. I've seen how much work you do. I know you don't.
I know, yes, yeah, no, but I can't help but go into that world. Like, there's a whole world inside each and every one of us, and the more we can stop and, go deeper within, the more we kind of understand not just ourselves, but the world around us. And so that's where these pieces are coming from. It's me sitting with my darkness. And instead of just, what, maybe 10 years ago when I was just painting pretty pictures, now I paint both sides of the spectrum, like that, the yin, the yang, the darkness and the light, to give it all perspective. And that's the darkness is what gives the light meaning, and vice versa.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it actually makes perfect
Right.
sense to me. All right, so here's, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna stump you on this one. Now, that was actually really good. I'm gonna stump you on this one
All
though.
right, try me, try me.
All right, all right, all right. I mean, because actually, honestly, I've always wanted to ask, because this, again, we've talked about the fact that this podcast is about showcasing heroes. And I'm not saying this honestly because we're related. I really believe this. I do believe you're a hero, and I believe you're a hero only because I've seen this. I've seen how people react to your art. I've seen how they actually come in. I've seen people who have reckoned with who they are. I've seen people who have come to terms with who they are, and whether they like it or not, and they're being forced to think at a higher level, right, on a higher vibration. And I know some of you are listening, going, "Oh God, here we go, the Deepak Chopra wannabe." That's not what this is. All right, this is I'm not. We're not trying to talk about meditation and yoga and whatnot. There's a million podcasts for this.
Can we definitely talk about that in another podcast? Because that's my
Yeah,
jam.
yeah. I think it needs to be because, and actually, it's funny you say that because this actually leads a good segue into what I was going to ask you, which is taking us through your creative process. How do intuition, symbolism, the emotion? How do you how does that guide you, and how do you filter it? How do you process it? Because I'm sure it's a lot, but how do you process it? Does meditation
Yes,
come into it? Does what, how do you do it?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you kind of have stopped me on this one.
Oh,
there's
yeah.
but I'm gonna do my best to answer that. So, um, yes, I would say meditation does come into play because the more silent we can get with ourselves, or more still we can get with ourselves, um, the easier it is to hear, your inner voice, or what you really want to say without it being muffled and all this other junk kind of getting in the way. Um, so so that's one part of it, but it's just really art for me has been a way for me to meditate actually as well. It's a way for me to explore my emotions, go deeper into myself, understand myself better. Um, and then being able to inject certain things like this new piece that I've worked on, um, inject like my message, my voice into it. Like what do I want to see in like the perfect world? Like what is my voice trying to communicate to the world about this situation or this circumstance? So putting in symbols and I'm exploring that a lot more, which is really cool. It's neat to kind of see and observe how my art has been evolving over the past few years. Especially I would say over the past maybe three-ish years, four
Mhm.
years. It's been an evolution, absolutely. And
Wow.
I think that's also partly why I can't stick to the same style. I see a lot of artists and they're pumping out like a very like one or two styles that it's them. Whereas me, I feel like each style is its own little like love language. It will speak to people and resonate with people differently. Some people really love
Hmm.
texture. Some people really love, like deities and depictions of gods and goddesses and whatnot. Some people love water elements. But like for me, I paint whatever is inside, and there's a lot inside, and it's hard to contain it all. So I try to put it on the canvas and tell the story
Hmm.
to the best of my ability.
Well,
Hmm.
and you filtered through a lot of that, and yeah, I know the piece you're working on right now because you did a whole video shoot, and one of the most powerful things you said on there is the fact that this isn't a political statement. The piece is, you
Yeah.
basically are touching the third rail when it comes to that. That piece is, it could be glorifying or it could be career suicide. You literally have ripped off all you're not afraid of going into it, which is one of the things I admire about you. The fact that you're not afraid to just, screw it. Let's go tackle it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. So you're willing to touch the third rail, something pretty much every politician in the world won't do. But yet here you
Mhm.
are, and you said something. You said, this is not a political statement. Whereas
Yeah,
people will see that and right away think that's what you're saying, even though it's not. I mean, some of the most powerful people in the world,
that's the thing.
yeah, some of the most powerful CEOs in the world, I know they've commissioned you to paint pieces for them, for their company, whatnot. And it's, so obviously the people who understand you and people who are powerful, they understand you, that know your work. They see what we're talking about. But what happens when people don't see? Like, I mean, how do you tell the difference between observing and experiencing? Can you tell the difference? Can you tell when somebody just doesn't get it?
Can I tell? Yes, yes, I can. But see, this is coming back to the seeing with the mind. So like your logical mind, trying to find reason or whatnot. So it's like left brain versus right brain. You have your left brain, which is all logic. You have your right brain, which is that creative side, feeling, right? Feeling the art. So this is the piece that we can definitely show our viewers. This is a piece called Amidst the Ruins. And you want to talk about it? Want to
Yeah,
go
let's
into that?
go. Let's go. I mean,
Yeah.
hey guys,
Yeah.
I look at this. You just proved the point. Like I know this piece, and you know what? Listen, before you bring the piece up, I want to talk about this. We have some of the coolest listeners, and we also have a pretty cool production team. Sometimes our listeners make some comments, and it's really awesome because our production team is Johnny on the spot, and some of their comments or their replies are just freaking hilarious. And really what we said all along when we talk about this piece, I want to just preface it by saying that remember, we're not asking you to take sides. We're not asking you to choose. We're just
Mm.
asking you to think independently. That's all we're asking you to do. Think critically, think for yourself. I don't care what opinion you come to. Agree, disagree, I don't care. As Sheena said, it's not a political statement. But let's jump into it. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about
Mhm.
that piece. Amidst the ruins. Let's talk about that piece. Go for it.
Amidst the ruins. Yeah. So, this is not, as I said, and I don't want to keep on repeating myself and sound like a broken record, but it's not a political piece. I'm not a political person.
She's
Okay.
not.
You know
She's
me.
not. She's not.
Yeah, I'm so disconnected from it because, I have all my reasonings, but, when dealing with certain world issues, many world issues, what I have a tendency to do is turn away from it because it's uncomfortable to look at, right? And then up till now, it's like, well, what can I do, right? So I just don't want to look at it. I turn the news off. I don't want to, I just don't want to pollute my mind with it. But then this piece, which started off as a conversation I had with a friend, about world issues and whatnot, and it just got me thinking about how can I how can I put how can I portray this situation in a way that injects my ideas behind it, right? We all have an idea, we all have an opinion on something, and um, so I this was like in the summer, so it was months of planning and learning about what is going on in Jerusalem, where you'll see a lot of the historical monuments. We got the Western Wall, we got a mosque, we got um, the Greek Orthodox Church in there. And before, like before anything, we're humans. We're humans first. And this is what has been lost. And this is what I wanted to showcase in this piece or maybe showcase is not the right word, but highlight. So feel from that, go go and sit with yourself. So and think about it, that we've kind of lost sight of that. And I feel you know unfortunately, society and politics and all that, we it touches on greed. It's heavily on greed and money and power. And so putting that all aside, focusing on the human aspect, focusing on hope and humanity and working together. And at the top, you'll see like there's that divinity aspect. And um, how beautiful would it be if if we were all human first and we all led with that? Couldn't a lot of the world issues be eradicated through that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's there. And look, again, we have some of the coolest listeners, and thank you again. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Cheap plug. Uh, but you're spot on, right? You're not talking about, oh my gosh, this is an Israel thing. This is a Palestine. You're not talking about that.
No.
Look, I'm sitting in Egypt right now having this conversation with you, right? So it's there.
Hmm.
My mom is from Sudan. I've had a front row seat to a lot of this. And I'll tell you, it isn't about size. I actually took this piece in the video shoot that you did with it. I actually showed it to people here in Egypt. I showed it to a business partner who lives in Tel Aviv. I showed it to people in 4 different countries. Every one of them has the same comment. She has a point. It's not a surprise
Mm.
that there are several Fortune 100 CEOs that want your art, that actually look at your art and want you to commission. They commission you for a piece for them. It's not a surprise because it goes back to what we said earlier. So the reckoning is the key. That's what I heard from everybody when I showed your pieces to all these people. When you hear those powerful CEOs that have seen your work, the one word that I keep hearing in different forms is reckoning. That your work actually forces them to reckon with who they are, and so that piece, it's not meant to be a controversial piece. You're not trying to create political divide where there already is plenty. And it seems like people want to jump there. What you're simply saying is we're human. We somehow have
Yeah.
forgotten the fact that we're human. Why is that? Why do you think that is?
Well, there's a lot of powers at play. And you said something important that, we forgot who we are, and
The that we forgot who we are. The fact that whether it's relying on AI or different platforms or just the media or whatever we read or just somebody's opinion, we seem to just adopted as our own. We don't actually, or we've forgotten the ability or forgotten how to stop and critically question whether or not something we believe is right. And none of what we're talking about is a
Mhm.
conflict. We're not talking about the conflict. We're not talking about who's right, who's wrong. Sometimes there are no wrongs. Sometimes there are all rights. It's just a very, but we're talking specifically about what it, when did we forget to think for ourselves? Because that's what human beings are supposed to do, right? Think for ourselves.
Mm,
When do we forget
think
that?
for ourselves, and act as, like, be in togetherness, be in unity. That's, I think, a point I
All
was
right,
trying
wait.
to
So
get across before.
what does that mean? Being in unity. What does that mean?
What does that mean? So it doesn't mean that we have to all, from my perspective, we don't have to all have the same belief system, right? It's not about this religion being right, this group being wrong. We can, like, having harmony amongst the differences. That to me is what unity is. There's togetherness in differences, right? And that is what this piece is about. It's forcing us to kind of acknowledge differences, and it might be different from what one group thinks or whatnot. um Honoring each other first,
Hmm.
being human first. And where we lost sight of this, I'm not too sure. I don't have the answer for that,
Well,
for once.
actually, that actually, yeah, for once, that's the one key word there, for once. But there's so that actually leads me to the question. I know, and you may not have an answer, but let's go down that rabbit hole.
Hmm.
With the larger arc of your artistic mission, is it what you just said to get people to refocus on being human? Or is there a different mission, or is it an evolution? Where does this fit in? Like, where does this fit into where you want us to go? What if we don't quite know where we forgot how to be human, then how do we remind people how to be human? We can't figure out when it happened. Okay, fine. That doesn't mean we
Hmm.
can't find a way to remind people how to do it again.
Right. Well, I think we've become disconnected with ourselves. So that's number one,
How?
right? So that actually
What do
might
you
be,
what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Is like
like, we're
devices you mean?
we're
Or
con partly, but we don't, going back to what we were talking about earlier, that we don't sit with ourselves. We don't, we're just constantly outward. We're told what to think. The media tells us what to think, how to act, how to be, what to wear, right? Styles, trends. We're constantly being bombarded by everything externally. And so when we're paying attention to that always, what like when you sit and think about, like, what is it that I truly want and what is it that I truly value?
Hmm.
I think people have lost sight of that. So that's where, meditation comes into play, and,
I,
this is
the M word. There it is. The M word.
I love the M word, but it's just like a means to sit and reflect on, like, on self and be with yourself and, you know, reconnect. So this can be done in different ways. It can be done through art, it can be done through meditation, through working out. I'm sure there's tons of ways, like writing, just learning who you are and what you stand for. And so when you can do that really on a deep level, then can you go out and connect with other people, connect with humanity. So you were asking, like, in the larger scheme of things, or the arc, um well, the message I'm trying to deliver through this piece, number one, is like, don't look away. It's hard to look at it, but you know we have the luxury of turning off the TV when it gets uncomfortable, but the reality of it is people who are living this every day don't have that
Oh,
luxury, right? Like, they have to, yeah, they have to sit and they're living this, and it's unfortunate. And so what is it that we can do? The more we awaken ourselves or be with ourselves, the more we can find our voice, which is kind of what I'm learning or what I'm acting on, is how can I use my voice, my artistic voice, to not just tell a story, but to make a statement. This piece is about making a statement.
Well, and if we go full circle, there are two things we've talked about. One is reckoning with yourself, coming to grips with who
Mhm.
you are, good and bad, right? Everybody has that,
Mhm.
and accepting it, right? Look, yeah, look, I have a good side and a bad side, reckoning with it, and not trying to weed out the bad, because that's just not realistic, right? Everybody has a good and a bad. Everybody has a vice, whatever that vice is. If right now you're
But it's
listening,
also us who it's sorry to cut you off, but
yeah,
it's also us who are giving it that
yeah,
definition, like, this is good,
yeah,
this
that's
is
right.
bad. We're defining it.
That's
Mhm.
100%, 100% right. I mean, it's that. In fact, you said something earlier. You said something about writing. Do you know that kids coming out of school today don't know how to write cursive?
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that,
You,
I think it was, like, through your kids, right? Like,
yeah,
my niece and
no,
nephew,
no, no,
and I'm
no.
like, "What do you mean?"
Your niece and nephew know how to write cursive. We made sure of that. They know how to
They
write
can?
cursive.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they know how to write
Yeah.
cursive. I actually, you better ask your sister, but I'm pretty sure they know how to write cursive. And if not, well, then I failed as a father. You better ask your sister. But no, but it is. Yeah, if it's not, I know people say, well, yeah, but nobody uses cursive. It's not about the cursive. It's about the ability to express yourself in an articulate way. Right? I remember when your niece and nephew were younger, especially your nephew was in middle school. You were at the dinner table where I would sit there and tell him, I said, tell me about your day. You have 60 seconds to tell me about your day. You remember those conversations? I said, you have 60 seconds. Tell me about your day in a succinct way. Be clear, be concise, and communicate with me. Emote. Tell me exactly that. And he at first struggled, but then he started getting it. But you know what? It's paying
Mhm.
off dividends. He's been on this show. A lot of people have seen him on the show. You saw him. He is articulate. He is very good at
Yeah.
delivering the message. It's because he has
Yeah.
figured out how to communicate. Every week I still write. I still write for our blog. I don't use ChatGPT. I don't use Gemini. I still write because it's a form, it's an outlet. To me, I feel like it's an energy that has to escape, right? Or has to be released.
Mhm.
Writing I always say it's an expression. I don't agree with that. It's not an expression. It's a release. It is a
Mhm.
way for energy. You hear the phrase blow off steam. Oh, I'm going to go walk for a block and blow off steam. I had an English professor that was a wrestling coach. He was basically a walking muscle, so I wouldn't dare to mess with him. He'd probably kick my head in if I tried when I was 17. But I remember he said something.
Mhm.
He would come in and say, "All right, I want 5 pages on Beowulf and double spacing. These are the words you can't use." And I would go to him and say, "Why can't I use like, such, is, or sorry, as, just? Why can't I use these words?" He said, I need you to learn how to be precise in how you talk. I need you to be able to release what you have interpreted. You have read Macbeth. It's not an easy read. And this wasn't some honors class. This was English. And I was 17. I was a junior in high school. 16. Sorry, I was a junior in high school. This
Mm-hmm.
is about release. He goes, some people have vices to release. Some people do illicit drugs to release. Some people do other things to release, some good, some bad. But communication is a release. It's not an expression. And he said that. And he
Mm-hmm.
has a PhD in English literature, and he passed away sadly. He delivered both his kids at home, and I would talk to him about it. He named his kids after Greek gods, and he would say, he'd say, it's not an expression. Writing is not an expression, it's a release. And I think to what you said, like we don't write. Yeah, if we don't have that release, and if we don't have the ability to write, then we lose the ability to communicate. If we lose the ability to
Mm-hmm.
communicate, then all of a sudden now we can't agree or disagree or even have precise or concise conversations or even realistic conversations because we jump to, oh my gosh, you're a racist or you're anti this or anti that. And that's not what we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's communication can happen in so many different ways,
right.
and deeper than what words can express. Words is so, like, yes, writing is one way, but whether it's through dance or art, right? That's my way of communicating, or my release, my expression. Um but it can be done in so many different ways that might help open each other up to different ways of learning, or to feeling, to understanding. Yeah.
I think you're spot on. I mean, it's also, when you talk about this here, so okay, looking at this next piece you're working on, right? It's a controversial piece, even though it's not. You're trying to get people to come back to reckoning with themselves and starting to be able to feel they are. It's again, your eyes, their story, right? Or their eyes, your
Mhm.
story, right? Vice versa, whatever it is. You are being able to actually use this, but what do you hope people understand when they experience this new piece? What you were talking about communication, but what's
Mhm.
one thing though? Because again, you're really good at figuring out who's just looking and who's there. It brings me back to a line from a white man can't jump, Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson. What they've listened to Jimi Hendrix. You can hear Jimi Hendrix, but are you listening to Jimi Hendrix? Or you're listening to Hendrix. Are you actually hearing Hendrix? This is the same thing here. So who is this?
Mhm.
What do you hope they understand? What do you hope they get from this experience? And how do you know if they're understanding it or not?
Well, okay, it's a few things. So I hope that, first of all, this piece, it's a call for awareness and connection. So I hope it's something that helps to connect us as opposed to divide us. Um and it's like, there's a sense of being confronted, but also being comforted in this. It's a moment of truth, and it's a mirror for us to awaken, right? To not
Hmm.
just sit back and be passive about what is going on in the world. If we want to evolve as a human collective, we need to work together as a human collective. So just as I said earlier, that I can use my artistic voice to send this, to say this, to send this message. Imagine everyone started doing that, right? And
In whatever form.
I think in whatever form, yeah, like maybe it's dance, maybe it's like cooking, maybe, maybe it's poetry.
Hmm.
There's so much beauty in ways that we can all spread a message of love. Like, we are love at the end of the day. We are that.
Hmm.
So when we can reconnect back with that energy, um, I don't believe love is emotion. It's a state of being. And
Hmm.
so when we can reconnect back with that and live from that, we can go so much farther together.
Hmm. That's the seeing deeply you're talking about, right? That's what you're talking about, the seeing
Yeah.
deeply. It's
Seeing deeply, yeah.
it's beyond your art. Your art's basically a door. They're not seeing deeply in your art. Your art's just simply helping to open the door for them to see deeply into whatever they need to see deeply about.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like if somebody looks at your new piece and right away goes to a political statement, that tells you
We've
right
lost
away it's
it.
not. We know it's not, but it tells you right away where their reckoning is, where they need to deal with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody sees that piece behind you and says, "Oh, this is about Hinduism," that's right where their reckoning has to start. Somebody looks at that piece and says, you know, that well, that just looks like a line in the wall. Okay, that's fair. It's not, but
Mm-hmm.
that's where your reckoning begins. You know, even if you do see
Yeah, we're
C3PO.
all and and so be it. Like we're all we're all on our own personal journey.
Hmm.
We're all kind of at different levels, and it's not for anyone to really judge that someone's
Hmm.
here. They're like we're at where we are where we're at, and
Hmm.
that's
We are where we
okay.
are. I just said that yesterday
Yeah.
to somebody. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's exactly right. You know, it's exactly right. So we're gonna start wrapping up, and really what I want to talk about here is you said something in our production meeting. You're not an empathetic coach. You're not trying to be. You know, that's not your intent. What does that
I
mean?
don't yeah, like I was well, I was saying I don't teach empathy. Like I didn't feel comfortable with that statement.
Why?
As much as I am an empathetic person, and I feel people's whatever very deeply. Like even when you were talking about the mummy with the mouth open,
Well, she was on the
I
side, like a
I
mouth open. She was screaming when she was mummified.
my god, and yeah, when you said that to me, I was oh, like there I felt so much heaviness inside,
Oh.
right? So I can't help but feel everything. I feel my own things, I feel other people's things. Um so what does that mean? That I don't teach. I'm not out to preach anything, right? I'm just here in this little corner of the world sharing my world, my inner world. And if it can connect or if it can open, be a mirror or open some kind of gateway or be a portal to something where you start feeling something,
Hmm.
then it served its purpose. That's great, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's not that I'm out there trying to teach people to do that. It's you have to live it, and then and I the way I live it is by painting. And if it's able to connect people and kind of bridge or create that empathy, make people feel a certain way, wonderful. That's great.
I'm gonna prove what you just said to everybody right now, right? You talked about the fact that whatever outlet, right? It could be painting, could be whatever the case. It could be travel. I am here in Egypt at a particular place. We talked about the mummy. The mummy wasn't
Hmm.
the focus. It was creating jobs for archaeologists and excavators who are deemed irrelevant by society here in Egypt, trying to be able to lift them up. Where I am right
Hmm.
now, I'm at a particular hotel that hires only from this community here, the locals here. Half of their wait staff are people who used to be little, you know, when they were growing up as schoolboys, they were begging on the streets. They didn't have a future, and now they're working in tourism. That's my expression, right? It's the fact that I'm reckoning with the fact that, look, all right, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is where I belong. This is what my responsibility is. I'm coming to grips that, yeah, look, nobody's
Hmm.
perfect, but but I found my purpose. I had a long time ago. And and I think that's what you're saying is that once you come to terms with your dark self and bring that, you know, from darkness to the light, what is that Batman line from this? I love that line from The Dark Knight. The dawn is darkest before the day, right? It was Harvey Dent saying that there. And
Mm.
yes, yes, you know what? Before you guys all call me comic nerds, you guys like that movie too. So let's be real. All right. You guys like Dark
The
Knight.
movie. Yeah, I
Yeah.
liked the movie a lot.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
exactly.
can't quote it.
Yeah, no, I get it. Why so serious? I got you. See? Come on, I got it. But I mean, every bit of it. But it's exactly that. That if you're trying to go from darkness to light, and this is not a sermon. This is not about religion or church
Mm.
or whatever faith we're talking about. Yeah, I'm sure faith plays a big part of it. If that's where your reckoning is, then great. That's not what this is. It's about understanding that we have to start communicating with each other. As you said it, we have to remember that we are human, right? We are all heroes in our own light. And I know that sounds utopian. That sounds like, oh, here we go again, soapbox. No, we are. If you're a parent, a single parent, and you're looking after a child and you're working 3 jobs to put food on the table, you're a hero. If you are somebody who is trying to figure out how you can feed people in the homeless shelter, or how you can put your child through college, or taking care of an elderly mother, or taking care of somebody who's sick, or dealing with an illness yourself, you're a hero. Right? You're coming to terms. It shouldn't be that on death's doorstep is the only time we come to terms with, have I lived a good life? Right? Or have I done this right? It
Mhm.
shouldn't take that moment. So that leads me to my final question. If someone wants to begin seeing the world with more awareness and, I mean, dare I say empathy, you're not trying to teach empathy. Doesn't mean you're not empathetic, but that's not what this is about. But if you're trying if somebody wants to begin seeing the world, where do they start? In your eyes, where do they start?
I think it starts with self,
Okay.
as mentioned, but yeah, can you really step inside somebody's shoes, right? Like try to feel what they're feeling, what are they going through? We're always so quick to snap at people. You know, we'll see it on a on a plane or on a bus or on the street. Maybe, maybe that person's going through something. Maybe, maybe they're going through a difficult situation where we can have more compassion. If we can learn that, I think that will go very far. Just a little bit of compassion towards our fellow brother. It's easier, maybe it's not with our family, with our friends, but then like taking it a step outside
Mhm.
of that. And that's outside of that.
Mhm. Yeah.
It
I,
starts with self.
yeah.
It starts with self and then your family and then society.
I gotta tell you. So I mean, and you know what? I'm gonna prove your theory right now. So I'm finishing up a book by Mel Robbins, called Let Them. It's fantastic,
Mhm.
fantastic book. I finished it up. I was probably one of the fastest reads. I think the only other read that I had that was as fast was Unreasonable Hospitality by Bill Gadara. But this one, and or Start with Why with Simon Sinek. But this one was just a breeze through it. And there was this particular story that got me in her book. And it was, about let them, right? Let them, let me. And it was the mother that was dealing, and she was the author. She was talking about her high school, or at the time, her high school son, and going to prom. And, her daughters were really organized with the corsages and everything else. He didn't. And she just started losing it. Like, why don't you have a corsage? And then she went and made one for him and everything else. And it turns out that his date had made one herself, and that's what she wanted to wear. And she had
Mhm.
just overstepped that sacred moment because she didn't just stop and put herself in somebody else's shoes. And that relates to what I'm doing, what I talk about with travel and sustainable tourism. It's not about, oh, look, I have solar panels and look, I'm saving the environment. It's not just that. It is by very definition, if you look at the 17 pillars of the United Nations, as the 17 pillars of sustainable development goals, every one of them can be interpreted as putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. Really, putting yourself in their shoes, right? That doesn't mean, oh,
Mhm.
what's it like to be completely homeless or to be struggling? No, what's it like to have despair in some form, right? Emotional, physical, financial, whatever the case. What's it like to have despair in some form?
Mhm.
So it connects. So what you're talking about, self and reckoning with your dark self to come into the light, that applies to travel, to tourism, to business. Again, there are Fortune 100 firms. Their CEOs are listening to you right now, and they come to you and look for their art. They commission you to do pieces for them because of this very thing. I know our listeners are really astute and they really pay attention to this, which is great. But sometimes they're like, well, no, this seems like a bit too hokey pokey. Well, okay, but some of the
Mhm.
most powerful people in the world are listening to what Sheena has to say. So maybe you should too. And that's something that's really, really key. So What'd you think? How'd your first podcast go?
I loved it. I was
Yeah.
actually really nervous. Yeah, I was really nervous about this, but bring it on. Let's do more. You know what? I'm gonna take over the sustainable voice now. Okay,
Oh
guys.
man.
I am your captain now. Just kidding.
I thought
Just
you said,
kidding.
put yourself in other people's shoes, not put yourself in their mic. Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
I
Absolutely.
I put myself in your chair. Okay.
Yeah, this is true. And you know what? Come to think of it, I think my listeners really probably want to listen to you more anyway. So I think if you guys want to
Probably.
listen to her more, please drop a line in the comments. Again, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that bell notification so you get when you know when new episodes are dropping. Uh, I would love to have you on the show more. I mean, you and I have talked for hours and we've gone into just town rabbit holes talking about this, but it seems to gravitate back. And I think in this one episode, we seem to have really drilled down the fact that we've forgotten how to communicate. So if you're a parent, the
Mhm.
lesson here, teach your kids how to write cursive. Start there.
Well, over on top of that, I would say compassion, right?
Yeah.
That one might be one
Cursive,
step above that.
cursive,
That
cursive.
then you teach the cursive writing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that is really important.
You know
That's
what? You and I talked about this. I grew up, I had a pretty, like a lot of people, the childhood was difficult. And Um, so I've been listening to more and more of a particular musician. He's passed away now, but listening to his lyrics more and more as part of a rap group and as part of their just poetic. Listening to his words and listening to it, and it's starting to. He passed away when I was in college. He was shot and killed when I was in college. Uh, but all of a sudden, listening to some of his words. I'm not saying it's going to put me to fully understand what somebody who's living in his part of the world understands or living through his hell understands. But I got to tell you, some of the words he used, you start listening, they apply today to modern society's problems. They
hmm
apply in
It makes
ways.
you feel.
Yeah,
It makes you feel.
absolutely.
It makes you feel connected.
Absolutely.
So
So,
if we listened to each other a little bit more, wouldn't we feel more connected? And
mhm,
then we wouldn't be doing all these horrible things to one another.
yeah,
We'd
much,
have more compassion. We'd have more sense. We
much,
wouldn't be reacting.
much like
Now I'm going on
Hendrix.
a tangent.
That's it. There, yeah. And my middle name is Tangent. Much, much, much like Hendrix. Are you here? You're hearing me, but are you listening to me? Or you're listening to me, but are you actually hearing me? So we're gonna close with this challenge that we have for all of our listeners. You guys are awesome. All your subscribers. We're hitting record numbers on new listeners, new downloads, which is awesome. Um, the next time you express yourself, next time you have a release of energy, whatever that looks like, if you're traveling, painting, writing, reading, writing cursive, and every bit of that, the challenge for you is spend one day trying to see a destination or see an expression or see something through local eyes. Try to see what you're seeing through somebody else's eyes, through a local eyes. Ask questions. Listen without judging. Listen without planning your response. Don't just cock back the response to go, all right, I know what he's going to go and I got this. I'm going to shut this dude up. Don't do that. I know it's difficult, but that's the reckoning part. Stop. Stop. Just listen. Don't, as Mel Robbins talked about, right? And on some level, I hope she's listening to this podcast as well. If you're so hell bent on making a corsage for your high school kid before he goes to prom, stop. Let him tell you that his date made her own. Stop. Just stop. Listen. Notice how it changes your experience, right? That's the key.
hmm
Come to a reckoning. I can't wait to have you back on the podcast. You've been absolutely incredible. My favorite guest so far. The Kelsey brothers at Taylor Swift.
Thank you.
The Kelsey brothers at Taylor Swift. I got you on the show. I had you on the show. I think this is more fun.
Lucky you.
Yeah, I think this is more
No, this
fun.
has been amazing. This
Yeah,
has been absolutely a pleasure.
absolutely.
Really
You
enjoyed
didn't know your
myself.
brother could do this, could you? You didn't know your brother
I
was.
mean, I didn't doubt you. Come on, man. I didn't doubt you. I've heard a few of your chats. You have your podcast.
Right on. Well, listen to all of our listeners. Thanks again. I'm going to plug it again. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment. hit the bell notification. Thanks for listening. And remember, be the change, challenge yourself, stop, listen, learn, cursive. Thanks for listening, everybody. Take care.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to The Sustainable Voice. If you have a success story of your own, please reach out and share it with us. Would love to hear from you. See you next time.